Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, October 14th, 2012. Because seeing Phyllis pay for her actions, seeing Phyllis get what's coming to her would be too much to ask, wouldn't it, as fans? So, Phyllis finds out about her court date this week while she is in Ronan's arms post-coitus. And Ronan has this disgusting line, by the way. He goes, well, now that we've slept together, our affair isn't a complete lie, is it? So as if that further validates the lie that he's told to give her an alibi. Those two just continue to scheme to get Phyllis out of this mess of her own making. The attention sort of shifts to Kevin, because Kevin is really he's the most important part, really, of Phyllis's case at this point. They know that her freedom kind of hinges on him, because if he sticks to his story and decides to help her lie, then they can't connect her to Dr. Reed's death. And at the same time, if he decides to go against them and tell the truth, then it makes it look like she did the hit and run and then she got rid of Dr. Reed to help cover it up. And there's a lot of question about what is Kevin gonna do? Is he gonna stick to his story or not? So Ronan decides to go into bully mode, and he's gonna go confront Kevin, go lean on him to try to make sure that he's gonna stick to his story. And they were just so rude to him. Phyllis and Ronan go to Kevin's house and they were hostile right off the bat. They weren't treating him like someone who was like, hey, we're in this together. It wasn't a camaraderie kind of thing. It was just, you better keep your mouth shut, kind of. That was the vibe I got from it anyway. I mean, Ronan, have you ever heard of the phrase, you catch more flies with honey? You could have been nice to him and roped him in. You didn't have to be a jerk, and that's totally the vibe I got. Not to mention that Ronan made some kind of comment about how maybe they can trust Kevin, but they can't trust Chloe, because Kevin has probably told Chloe the whole story, and, you know, Chloe has such a big mouth, Ronan says. I'm sorry, Ronan. You should know, really, don't you think? You should know all about Chloe's big mouth, right? Considering the fact that you slept with her and you sort of had a thing and you always had a sensitivity toward her, and now that's gone. I hate Ronan's attitude. I thought that he was being a bully, and I'm surprised that Phyllis is just going right along with him. Phyllis is just doing whatever Ronan says. I don't know when has Phyllis ever done anything that someone has told her to do? People are constantly like, don't open your mouth, do this, do that, it's in your own best interest. She never does it, and now all of a sudden she's going along with anything that Ronan says, and I can't help but wonder, why does Phyllis even trust Ronan? Where did this trust even come from? Because Ronan has no track record of trustworthiness. Like, I ask you guys, name one good thing that Ronan has ever done his entire time while he's been in Genoa City. Oh wait, go ahead. think about it. Well, besides sex. Get your minds out of the gutter. He's pretty good at sex, but other than that, since he's come into town, all he's done is lie and manipulate, if you really want to boil it down. So I don't know why all of a sudden she is putting all of her eggs in his basket. And I mean, I guess it's just that sex and intimacy are very comforting to her right now. It's very compelling to her right now, because Phyllis, she's just someone who likes to walk on the wild side. She likes to take risks. She likes danger. It turns her on. And she was walking on the wild side with Ronan as soon as they got home, right in the middle of the living room. Yet again, she's having sex with him right in the middle of the home that she has shared with Nick and with her daughter and her whole family. Isn't that what bedrooms are for? Why do they do this? Go upstairs, lock the door. But then again, I guess that just wouldn't be very dangerous, would it? I think that's what gets them off. And sure enough, Summer walks in and pretty much gets an entire eyeful of Ronan plowing her mother, which is not, it's not something that anyone wants to see. No one wants to see their mother having sex with someone who's not their father while they're still married. Nick and Phyllis are still married. You have to admit, and I will admit, that the sex scenes between Phyllis and Ronan are very intense. They're very, like, Phyllis and Ronan are very into kind of roughhousing. Like, I think that is how Phyllis likes it, because she and Nick have done that quite a bit, where it's just rough sex. But I mean, you get that vibe where it's like rip clothes off and then go at it. There's no sensitivity, there's no little love smooches there. It's all about hot fire passion, which I normally like, but it's only gonna take me so far, and I've hit that point. I've hit that level of, yeah, it is hot sex. They're memorable scenes. It's, in fact, probably some of the best lovemaking scenes that we've had on the show for a while. I resent them trying to pretend like there's something more. I resent the implication that they have some sort of mythical connection when they don't. If it's just sex, and I think we should just call a spade, that's what it is. And Summer witnessed it, runs off, goes back to tell Nick, and Nick is angry for Summer because she's upset. No one should have to see that. It's Phyllis's irresponsibility, yet again, piled on, and it's affecting their daughter, obviously, but Nick also has his own feelings to deal with. Now he knows for sure that his wife is really having an affair. So he goes back to the penthouse to confront her, and Ronan is upstairs taking a shower, okay? Ronan did not need to go upstairs and take a shower at Phyllis's house. She asked him to leave, in fact. After the last round of sex, she was like, go on home, Ronan. I'm done with you. I've had enough for today. I'm satisfied. You can move along. Go back to your dingy little hotel room. But Ronan asks if he can stay to take a shower. He invented a reason to stay. You can shower at home, Ronan. You don't need to stay at her house. You don't need to shower there. And Nick comes in the door while Ronan's upstairs and starts to confront Phyllis and starts to ask her questions, and Ronan walks right on down into the middle of it. Ronan probably heard Phyllis and Nick fighting, and rather than just staying upstairs and being quiet and maybe doing something for Phyllis, he walks right on into it. He's just like, yep, I'm here. We're having an affair. What are you going to say about it, Nick? I told you I was going to get her, and I did. It's true. Ronan wants that relationship to be over, and that's what he's getting. And he's setting himself up as the savior. Like, I'm the only one who understands you, Phyllis. I'm the only one who's here for you. Everybody else has abandoned you. But the only problem is she doesn't love you, Ronan. She loves Nick. She's always going to love Nick. You're never going to be able to compete with Nick, no matter how excellent and huge and thick and chunky your package is. She does not love you. So, and it's clear. She asked Ronan, again, to leave so that she can talk to her husband. Ronan leaves, and I'm sorry, the awesomeness just blew me away. That scene, that confrontation, that fight between Nick and Phyllis was so long time coming. It was just good. Nick flipped out. I haven't seen Nick as mad in I don't know how long. He was practically like foaming at the mouth with anger for her, and I loved it because Phyllis did what Phyllis always does. You know, Nick catches her in a lie, or Nick catches her in an affair, and she starts to talk about how it's everybody else's fault. She starts to blame it on everyone else. It's your fault that I slept with Ronan, Nick, because you weren't here for me. It's Chris and Paul's fault that they were right in front of my car and I had to hit them. It's always somebody else's fault. All she does is lie, and no one ever calls her on it. Everyone always just forgives her of it. And finally, Nick was like, you did this. Don't try to blame any of this on me. You did it. You want to blame everybody else, but you are to blame. So, you know what? Fine. Go be with Ronan. If that's what you want to do, go be with Ronan. And Ronan, go ahead. Ruin your career. If that's what you want to do, then you just go right ahead. Because at this point, as far as I'm concerned, and I think as far as Nick is concerned, Ronan and Phyllis deserve each other. So just go ahead, ride off and, screw your way off into the sunset. It's fine. So Nick, after this fight, runs off straight directly to Avery, which I wish he wouldn't have done that. He finds her in a bar. She's got her own issues. She's drowning her sorrows. She's drunk, so her inhibitions are down. And Nick just finds her, walks right through the door, and kisses her, just plants one on her. And I think she's so startled and just, again, her inhibitions are down, so she kisses him back in the moment. I think that was where one of the shows ended. And I honestly thought they were going to sleep together. I was convinced that that was going to lead to sex. But I'm really glad that it didn't, because I think Nick and Avery could be really good together. But I'm looking for relationships that aren't just based on sex. I'm looking for relationships. My favorite kind of relationships have hot sex, but also a really amazing emotional element. And for Nick and Avery to even have a chance, I think that they need that. But, I mean, there's so much else going on in Nick's life. I don't know how he can even focus on a relationship right now, because as soon, I think it was the next day, or maybe it was just a little bit after, Nick gets a phone call that Summer has been arrested. Summer, after seeing her mom and Ronan, she runs out and keys Ronan's car. She starts destroying his car, which I thought was pretty great. When I heard she was arrested, my first thought was, oh, not drunk drinking mayhem again. No, it was straight up retaliation on Ronan's car, and I liked it. She's stupid for getting caught. But I really like that she did it. I mean, that's good for her. And I think even though Ronan was ticked off about it, I think Ronan kind of relished it. I think he was happy that she did it and that he caught her. Because then it was one more thing that he could kind of hold over Nick's head. It was one more way of, not only am I being the savior to your wife, but now I'm going to be the savior to your daughter, because I'm not going to press charges. I just think he enjoyed it. I think he was very, I don't know, maybe I'm being totally anti-Ronan right now, but I just got the impression that he was, enjoying hanging that over Nick's head. And Nick was like, I'll pay for your car. That's fine. But stay away from my daughter. You're the one that caused this. I mean, Summer, as much as I don't like her, is a young teenager, and that would be enough to make me rebel against my mom, too. Think about it. If you walked in on your mom having sex with somebody else, it would, having an affair, I don't know. It would make me mad. It would be enough to turn me against my mom. And again, I think that people need to be responsible for their actions. And Ronan needs to be responsible for the part he's played in this. Phyllis does. And Summer does. Summer needs to be disciplined. And that's something that she's never gotten from Phyllis. And I really liked that Nick took Summer back home and started parenting her. Somebody needed to. He was hard on her. He said, I'm not going to let you act like a spoiled rich kid here. You're going to be grounded. You're going to start getting yourself into order. Do you want to end up like Phyllis? Is that what you want? You want to go out and get negative attention? And I thought that really hit a nerve with her. The whole, do you want to be like Phyllis line? But as soon as Nick turned his back, she was on the phone with Fen, plotting to sneak off the ranch. Ugh. Because, yeah, Summer, you live in a barn. You poor child. You live on the ranch in a barn. But you know what? Your manners sure make you look like you were raised in one. Christine is ready to have her day in court. She wants vengeance. I guess I can't blame her, but she's right up in Michael's face, pressuring him to do more. She wants Phyllis behind bars. And, you know, she's saying to Michael, she actually accused Michael of letting his personal feelings cloud his judgment in this case. And I'm like, okay, that's true, but isn't that the pot calling the kettle black here? Christine's doing the exact same thing. It's all about her personal feelings. If she could have been the prosecuting attorney, she absolutely would have stepped up and she would have got a conviction. And she feels like Michael's dragging his feet. I honestly can't believe that Michael is still in charge of this case in the first place, given his personal involvement with the main suspect and the whole family and the key witnesses. Like, Michael's just too close to this entire situation. And I'm getting kind of sick of Michael being the DA. I wish he would retire from this gig. I was excited at first because it was going to give him something different to do, but now it's getting kind of old. Like, I don't know. It's either he's defending these goofballs or he's prosecuting them. I guess it has to be one way or the other. But what I especially don't like is that his position is putting him at odds with his brother, because Kevin is neck deep in this whole Phyllis thing, and Michael knows it. And Michael goes to Chloe thinking maybe he can get through to her to convince her to let him help. And Chloe, very reluctantly, totally concerned for her husband, decides to confide in Michael. Michael just has this way of getting it out of her, and she says everything. I mean, she tells him everything, the whole story, and it was very hard for her, and I felt her so much during those scenes, and I was so ticked off. Michael turned around, went to Kevin to try to see if he could, you know, now that he knows what really happened, see if he could draw it out of Kevin in the same way. And Michael totally threw Chloe under the bus. Told Kevin that she told him everything. Like, Chloe opened up to Michael and he ratted her out. See, I don't like what this is doing to Michael. I don't like what it's doing to his relationship with his family. And it just puts him in such an awkward position. And Michael actually tried once again, as he's been trying to help Kevin all along, tried to help him once again, give him one last chance to tell the truth. And Michael said to him, you know, you have to trust me here. When have I ever not been on your side? And that is so true. When has Michael ever let Kevin down? Would Michael ever do something to hurt Kevin? No, Michael's not putting the case over his relationship with Kevin. I completely believe that he wanted to help Kevin, and I think he would help Kevin over Phyllis. I mean, Michael may not have wanted to prosecute Phyllis, but Phyllis is the one that dug herself into this mess. Kevin was kind of an innocent bystander. Well, not innocent, but he was just sucked in by Phyllis's tornado, and I think Michael genuinely wanted to help him, and Kevin finally decided to open up. He just tells the truth. It was like pulling a cork. As soon as the cork came out, he just started spilling everything, and afterwards, I think Kevin kind of realized what he'd done and the fact that he just confessed his whole story to the DA. He wanted to talk to his brother, but instead just realized he confessed everything to the authorities, and Kevin started to act out a little bit. He was taking it out on Michael. He was saying stuff to Michael like, "You're just like Tom, you want to put me in a confined space?" Whatever. Okay, Kevin, just for Kevin to accuse Michael of being like Tom is absurd. Michael has saved your ass on more than one occasion, and allow me to remind you, Kevin, that no one forced you to help Phyllis. You made that decision all by yourself, and let's not pretend that you did it because Phyllis was Michael's friend, or even because Phyllis was your friend. You did it because you couldn't say no. End of story. And now Kevin is in a similar situation to Phyllis and that he's blaming others for what he's done. Oh, and he is super upset with Chloe. He's really mad at Chloe. He's ignoring her, not wanting to include her, saying that he doesn't feel like he can trust her anymore, which is like sad for their relationship, but I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe this is the new writer's way of putting a wedge in to Chloe and Kevin to kind of break them up. I don't really care. I mean, I don't really love them together as a married couple anyway. I like them as friends, but I've never felt like they were a very good married couple. I don't know, maybe I'm horrible, but if they break up, that's alright with me. So it's the day of the trial, and Heather is actually Daniel's at Heather's house, and she's kind of preparing herself. By the way, Heather's hair, it's not red anymore. It's now dark. It's some kind of weird thing that's happening on Y&R. All of the redheads have now gone dark. There are no redheads on the show anymore. I don't know, it looks good to me. Yeah, I mean, it's more natural. It's definitely more natural, but Heather is talking to Daniel about their relationship. I'm gonna go prosecute your mother today. Do you have any feelings about that? And Daniel is being super casual. In fact, annoyingly cool about the whole thing. I mean, say what you will about Phyllis, but if Daniel was in trouble, she would have had his back. And instead, Daniel's just kind of acting like, meh, could care less, meh, meh. If my mom gets thrown into jail for 20 years, meh, what are you gonna do? It just bothered me. His attitude bothered me. But everybody's pretty much getting ready for this trial. Ronan is at Phyllis's house. They're squeezing in a few more moments together. Is he staying with her now? Because I kind of got that impression that maybe he slept over. I don't know. He's always there. He's right by her side at every single waking moment. Avery stops by Nick's house this morning to say that the kiss was a mistake, it can never happen again, Avery has to stay loyal to her sister, which was very cute. I'm really looking forward to seeing them explore their relationship. But just as Nick was asking Avery to talk to Summer, which was really nice too, saying, you're someone who loves Phyllis, but you understand how difficult the situation is. Maybe you could talk to Summer. I would really appreciate that. I thought that was really cool. And just as they're having this conversation, Nick goes upstairs to get Summer and realizes that she's gone. And we realize that Summer and Fen have run off. They've stayed the night at some cabin, I guess, like an old empty cabin or something, just to get away. Basically, Summer is being a brat, and Fen wants to be there to support her. And I actually liked Fen this week. We got to see him more than I think we've ever gotten to see him, but I thought he was very cute, kind of trying to convince Summer to calm down, talk her off the ledge a little bit. And it was kind of similar to how Michael and Phyllis's relationship started out. You know, I think Michael always, felt a little bit sorry for Phyllis, thought, knew she was troubled, nuts even, and he wanted to help her. And maybe even that relationship was motivated a little bit by attraction. I always thought maybe Michael and Phyllis had a little bit of attraction going on, and clearly that's something that's developing between Fen and Summer. Oh, I think Fen probably got a little woody when Summer kissed him. That poor little wimp. The only thing is he is a little wimpy. But I think he has total potential. And I'm excited to see if Fen and the new Summer, the recast, have any chemistry together. I'd be open to seeing how that pans out. I don't know, Fen's a little mysterious. I think he comes off as being a good kid, and I think he is a good kid, but he's still Michael's son. He's got to have a little bit of deviousness in there. It just needs to be unleashed, maybe by the right person, and I think he could be really, really good. But Nick puts out an APB on Summer. Everybody's looking for Summer. Everybody's gotta find her. Leslie's trying to get the case postponed so that Phyllis can help go find her, but no luck. they've got to proceed with the court case. So everybody shows up in the courtroom, Phyllis and Avery and Leslie and, let's see, Nick was kind of in and out. And then, of course, everybody on the prosecution side, Chris and Danny and Paul are all kind of there with popcorn waiting to see how this goes down. And it was just kind of odd. There was not a lot. There was no background noise, no music. It just seemed like that whole courtroom scene when everyone got there was oddly silent and awkward, especially when Michael showed up. Michael walked through the doors and it was so weird. Phyllis kind of cornered Michael yet again and yet again blamed Michael. She made some kind of insinuation like it was his pleasure to do this. It was his pleasure to prosecute her. It's always somebody else's fault. It's not her fault for getting herself into this mess. It's Michael's fault for not letting her off the hook. Summer is just going to be exactly the same way. She hates her mother, but she is going to turn up to be exactly like her. Summer shows back up after everyone's been looking for her, and she a little bit later had an argument with Phyllis that was really, really heated. Summer hates her mother at this point. Even they were arguing, and Summer even kind of poked or pushed Phyllis a little bit. It was just jarring. I couldn't believe what a total brat she was being, but in some ways I understand why she's upset with Phyllis, but Summer storms off crying about how horrible her life is, and the whole court case just ensues. It just continues on. It was pretty standard. There was the opening arguments, which I kind of don't buy Heather as a lawyer. I thought her opening argument was really, really weak. And then Leslie followed up like, sorry, you can't place her behind the wheel, boom, and then goes and sits down. That was her whole thing, her whole argument. It was way better. And Michael calls his first witness, Kevin, to the stand. And you totally think, I thought that Kevin had a change of heart and that he was now going to tell the truth on the stand and Phyllis was going to get nailed. But as soon as Michael started questioning Kevin, he was real hostile. Kevin was dodging questions, asking what the definition of is. He was not going to be helpful at all. He was just really, really dodgy and really angry toward Michael, which I think hurt Michael because Michael had this moment of thinking that he broke through with Kevin and then it was all dashed and Michael had no choice but to really start to pinpoint Kevin down. And it was just as Michael was about to nail Kevin, about to force him to either lie or tell the truth, the judge out of nowhere all of a sudden gets sick. The room is spinning, oh, and all of a sudden, he's ushered out of the room. Are you kidding me? For a moment there, I swear, I thought, sweet, finally, we're finally getting somewhere. Phyllis is gonna get hers. But no, they just shove a new judge in the chair. This guy takes a brief recess to review the case and dismisses it on the spot. What? I'm sorry. Doesn't the judge have an obligation to at least hear this case? Phyllis rented a car. They have the receipt. She rented a car the night of the hit and run. I'm a federal agent. You can't just throw the case out the window now. Who are you? I am so annoyed. I know you guys have got to be annoyed too. It's just ridiculous. All of this building up to the case getting thrown out. Before the decision was even given, Paul must have had some kind of psychic moment because it's just as the judge is kind of coming back into the chambers, Paul looks over at Christine and he just says, Phyllis is going to get away with this. She's going to get off. And Chris is like, what are you talking about? And Paul just has this enlightened moment. She's Phyllis. She has 9 lives. And he was so right. She never gets what she deserves. In other legal news, Sharon, still in hot water over the mess that is her life and decisions, goes to Avery and asks Avery to get Victor to drop the charges against her. Avery's like, no, why would I help you? Why would anyone help you? And the only reason I bring this up is because during that scene of Sharon trying to convince Avery, Sharon was all about, don't you want to help me because I have faith, I'm a mother, I have a young child. And I'm getting real sick of Sharon using faith like she's a get out of jail free card. Anytime she needs a convenient excuse to get out of trouble, she starts playing up on the sympathy for her being a mother and a young child. Yet, when things are going fine, you never see her with faith, ever. And I'm tired of it. At this point, Sharon, nobody has sympathy for you. Except Tucker. Tucker's the only person who has sympathy for her. And Tucker is backed into a corner. He has had this whole fallout with the SEC. Jack has called the SEC and turned him in for buying up all of those Newman shares and not reporting them. And because Jack was upset with Tucker for not giving Beauty of Nature back to him. So Tucker goes to Victor and offers to sell him Beauty of Nature in exchange for Sharon's freedom. I was really shocked by that. I was surprised. I think that's like the first selfless thing that Tucker has done in a long while, certainly since being with Ashley. And Victor, he's wanted Beauty of Nature for a long time, and I think he knows that there are plenty of other ways to deal with Sharon, so Victor offers Sharon a good deal. He's like, look, you're going to be completely off the hook. I'll drop all the charges against you. You know, you just drop all the charges against me, sign these annulment papers. Let's wash our hands clean of each other. And Sharon goes along with it, of course. But she has no idea that Tucker was the one that went to Victor. She has no idea that Tucker has just saved her butt. So she tromps off, thinking she's a free woman, to the SEC and says she's going to help them with their case against Tucker. She's like, I'm going to give him a little bit of a taste of his own medicine. Says she's going to testify against them, gives them all, any information that they need. And Tucker gets arrested. They immediately go and arrest him just literally not even a little bit before Sharon learns the truth. Victor tells Sharon, oh yeah, by the way, now that you've already gone to the SEC and ratted Tucker out, he was the one that helped you. He was the one that convinced me. He may be your only friend, so good luck with that. Sharon immediately ran to go find Tucker to thank him and, I don't know, warn him or whatever. She gets to his office just as he's being hauled off, and she's saying, I'm sorry, and you can just see it in her eyes, and it dawns on him, you did this to me. I mean, they're literally dragging him out of his office, and he's like, did you do this to me? Did you do this to me? Yeah, guess what? She did do that to you. Which is not a whole lot worse than what you did to her. I'm glad Tucker decided to get a conscience and help her out, but he did it after she already spent the night in jail. He did it after he used her for weeks. So I'm sorry, the sympathy for either of these people has run out for me. I have none for Sharon or for Tucker, especially not for Tucker, considering he, he spent one day in federal prison and then he's out walking around the next day. Overnight, he was able to make evidence in his case disappear. Magic. he just slid right out of that one, didn't he? I mean, he's slimy. He's just like a slug, or a snake. He just slithered right out of that problem. I can't believe it. He's so gross. But he goes to Sharon pretty much right after he gets done or gets out, and he asks her to recant her testimony, which he's pretty sure that she will do, especially now that she knows the truth, and that one hand washes the other. I'll cover up your lies if you cover up my lies kind of situation. And there was just this gross scene between Tucker and Sharon where it seemed like they had resolved their differences and they seal it with a kiss, and I'm really concerned that YNR is going to try to push Sharon and Tucker together because I am not feeling it at all. I do not want Sharon and Tucker together. And I just keep thinking back to that interview I read with the new head writer where he said, we're going to take Sharon all the way down, but on her way back up, she's going to find love. So we know that they're going to try to put Sharon with somebody. Nick's with Avery. Adam's with Chelsea. I just hope not. Like, I want Sharon to find love. I want Sharon to be happy. I really do. I like Sharon. And I want to like Sharon. And I want her to arise out of this anew. But not with Tucker. He's just too sleazy. And he's got other stuff going on anyway. He's got bigger fish to fry. He doesn't need to worry about Sharon. There's no way he's in love with her. It's like, okay, Sharon and Tucker, their situation is like, have you ever dated somebody that you just kind of dated him because there was nobody else? That's kind of what I get out of this. They were just two single characters and the writers are just throwing them together. And I'm not feeling it at all. I can't imagine myself getting into it at any point. It just doesn't work for me. Tucker is fine in business. He's too slimy. I'm sorry, he's just too slimy. He's fine for the business storylines, and I actually liked him with Ashley because I thought she brought out a really good side of him, but not with Sharon. I do not want him with my Sharon. So, I think it was before Tucker went to go see Sharon. He actually went and paid a visit to Jack, and he made a proposal to Jack about pooling their shares of Newman Enterprises. He wants, I don't know, he wants vengeance on Victor, apparently. I don't know why Jack would even agree to work with Tucker at this point. After the recent fallout, Jack just turned him into the SEC. You think Tucker's going to do you any favors now? And I don't know why Jack would turn around and even want to work with Tucker, knowing who he is and how gross he is and what kind of troublemaker he is. Oh, wait, no, actually, I'm going to retract that. I know exactly why Jack wants to work with Tucker, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now that Victor is back in the chair, he is starting to get an idea of what kind of damage Sharon has done. In fact, she sold a significant amount of Victor's personal stock, which I'm surprised that cannot be contested. Why can that not be undone? Victor was able to undo the sale of Beauty of Nature that, you know, when Adam was in control. Why can't he just do the same thing with Sharon? I don't understand it. But with those shares loose and out there, a lot of his enemies have a lot of control that Victor doesn't want them to have. So let's see. The main holders of the stock are Genevieve. Apparently she was taking the money that Tucker was giving her while she was off on her hunt, and she was secretly buying up Newman shares. Jack was buying shares, and Tucker was buying shares. So they have a significant amount of power between the three of them. And by the way, Nikki is aware that all of this is going on right around with Victor. And Nikki confronted Tucker this week. It was so fantastic. I just totally enjoyed it. Like, I thought Tucker brought it to the situation. It was one time where I was actually like, go Tucker. He made some awesome points because Nikki got up in his face, basically treated him like he was a piece of dirt, and Tucker was like, you're calling me a manipulator? Victor is the king manipulator, and ain't that the truth? And most importantly, the point that Tucker made that really rang true with me. If Victor had the opportunity to do to him what Tucker is doing to Victor, if the roles were reversed, he would do it in a heartbeat. Is there even any question about that? I just thought that was such an excellent point, and it does put things into a little bit of perspective. But he also Tucker threw some personal shade in there too, because he made some just kind of comment about, about Victor in relationships and how he operates the same way in business as he does in relationships, saying he probably, just married a couple of other ladies just to tick you off. This is just what he does. And Nikki was not having that, not hearing that. I mean, I felt like it was kind of a truth hurts kind of situation, because Victor is a manipulator in business. He's a manipulator in personal, and he did marry Sharon to make Nikki jealous, and everybody knew it. And Nikki didn't want to face that fact, and the truth hurts. Actually, the truth hurt Tucker because Nikki just smacked him and walked away. I didn't think twice about it, just see ya. I thought that was pretty good. It was a good scene. But the linchpin here is Adam. Adam's the one that's kind of stuck in the middle. He's got Newman stock and he's got a board vote, and Victor realizes that. Naturally, Victor goes to see Adam right away to try to get Adam on his side, which was so awkward because everything Adam went through when he thought Victor died. He realized that he's lost both of his parents at this time when he's becoming a parent. It was difficult on Adam in his own way. And now Victor is finally showing up. I mean, Victor is taking care of so much other business since he's been back. Hasn't given Adam a second thought until he wants something. So Victor shows up. The first time they're seeing each other, and it was just really like the whole vibe was very cold and awkward. And by the way, those are also words that I would use to describe Adam's house. I know we haven't really had a chance to dive into this, but Adam bought Genevieve's old house, and that old house fit Genevieve. It doesn't fit Adam. The house is it looks like a mausoleum. It's so, I don't know, it's so cold and big, and there's no life or love in it at all. It's just very, I'm rich, that's all it says, I have money, and it doesn't seem like Adam's style at all. But anyway, I think that was the first time we've ever seen Victor at that set. Victor shows up, and this just the whole father-son scene was so tense. They're both blaming each other for why their relationship is non-existent, and I understand both sides of the argument, and at the end of the day, they both messed up. No one is blameless here. Both Victor and Adam have contributed in their own ways to the situation that exists now between them. And I'm not going to hold any punches back, because Adam is sitting there talking to Victor like, well, I'm invisible to you. You never loved me, Dad. And I'm sorry, Adam. You did this to yourself. You had an agenda from the moment that you arrived in Genoa City. You've had an axe to grind with Victor pretty much since you found out he was your father. And you resented the fact that your mom didn't tell you and that you really loved Cliff. I'm sorry. You put yourself in this position too, so don't act like you were a little innocent angel that came into town with just good intentions, and then Victor and the family were the ones that shut you out, because that's not how it happened. Okay, I've been there for the entire time. I've been there from the time you were conceived. And you're not going to pull anything over on me. Now, at the same time, Victor hears Adam saying this and starts just trying to pull on his heartstrings. Victor even tells him, in my own way, I still love you. And isn't that really what Adam wants to hear? Isn't, at the end of the day, that what Adam really wants? He just wants to be loved for who he is, for what he is, no strings, and Victor tried to give that to him. But the only problem is, I'm sorry, Victor was only buttering him up so that he could get his vote. It's so obvious. Victor, you could practically see through him, and Adam practically could see through him. And all of the I love yous and all of the pleasantries got stripped away when Adam decided that he's not just going to do whatever Victor says with his vote. Adam's going to have his vote independent. He's independent. He's not going to side with the family. And Victor, all of a sudden, pretty darn quickly was like, well, you're an enemy now or something. I can't remember what he said, but you got the vibe of like, sorry I even tried. It's both of your faults. And then Nick goes to see him. Nick goes to see him too, which I don't know what Nick thought that that would accomplish, because they're not exactly best friends. Nick doesn't know how to do anything except like throw punches. Why would Nick even follow up on that? I don't know why he was there. And Adam is right in the respect that they only treat him like family when they need something. We've seen that repeatedly. That's what they do. I mean, Victoria does it too. And by the way, Victoria got like a massive haircut. I mean, she must have had a foot taken off of her hair. I like it. What do you guys think about Victoria's new hair? I think it's very kind of much more mature looking. She seems older, more mature now. She kind of is giving me mom vibe. I like it. I like her hair. I mean, she just has great hair. And I just think it looks really nice. But she's of course working on Victor's side. I wouldn't be surprised if she went to go see Adam too. But the problem is for Victor that during the scene is, you know, even just by going to see Adam, Victor showed his weakness. He let Adam know that he needed him. Otherwise he wouldn't have been there. And that allowed Adam to realize how much power he really has. And if Victor's enemies, all of them, unite, then they have enough to pull one over on him. Victor realizes that. Everyone realizes that. And Jack paid a visit to Adam right after and said, "You want to show me your shares in Newman? I'll give you a really great price and I'll get back at your dad for you." And Adam does. Adam sells his shares to Jack. And Jack is very, very happy about this. Jack immediately goes to Victor to rub it in. I mean, Jack has got Genevieve. I don't know if Genevieve sold her shares to him. I imagine she would, because what she really wants is money and to get back on Jack's good side. So I wouldn't be surprised if he owns Genevieve's shares. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I may have spaced out toward the end of Jack's conversation with Tucker. I guess Tucker sold him sold Jack those shares too, and now he's got Adams. So Jack has controlling interest now in Newman Enterprises, and Jack couldn't wait to rub it in. It was so awesome. Like, there's this moment where, almost like a foreshadowing moment, where Victor is sitting at his desk alone, and he looks over at the wall at his portrait, and you just know that might not be there for long. Jack comes marching in. He's like, "You know, I kind of like the sound of Abbott Enterprises." That was a good joke. I really liked it. And I mean, I'm sure that he's going to go right along with it. Except, I mean, the only thing is, I just wonder how stable it is, because it really would only take one person to pull out of this deal before Jack's whole house of cards comes tumbling down. Of course, that doesn't mean that he can't, you know, wreak a little habit in Victor's life in the meantime. But now let's switch gears a little bit, because after all of this drama has gone down, Adam and Chelsea decide that they want to take a little trip. They want to get away. I mean, they're trying to be new parent, or, you know, they're trying to get used to the idea of being parents, and there's just all of this drama that's still happening. I mean, like, there was a lot of drama that took place before they left, because Victor came to visit Adam, Jack came to visit, Nick came to visit, and Chelsea was there for all of those conversations. She didn't say anything. She really didn't say much, but she heard exactly what happened, and I think that it planted just a little seed in her mind about her husband. I feel like maybe she's starting to get just a little bit of a window into who Adam was/is, because as much as you want to run from your past, you can't. It's always there, and it will always catch up with you. All it takes is a crash, and all of a sudden you're back to where you were. And Adam and Chelsea decide to go on their little vacation. They are taking a drive. They happen to be on the same road as Summer, who is totally upset about everything that's gone on with Phyllis. She's crying and driving, and all of a sudden the crash comes. So is Chelsea gonna lose the baby, you guys? I don't want to sound heartless, because I'm not. I love babies. I value life. And I would never say this about a real human being, but just like for the purposes of the show. I'm sorry, but I hope Chelsea loses the baby. Just because not that I don't want to see Adam be a parent. I don't like Adam and Chelsea together. Although, you know, their relationship was always based on this, we're trying to be good now, boringness. And I kind of think that if Chelsea loses the baby and things change between them, you know, maybe I could get into it. Because I think that if Chelsea loses the baby, based on the conversation she was having with Jeff this week, I think she might go back to kind of being a little hellraiser. She might go back to grifting and all that, because she's trying to connect with Jeff this week, and he's saying all about all the crazy things he used to do, and he's like, yeah, you get it from me, kid. And just, I think that was a little bit of foreshadowing and reminding us that she has a checkered past too. It's not just Adam. And I can definitely see losing the baby being a catalyst for her to going back to her shady ways. And frankly, if that happens, I may be able to open myself up to her. Otherwise, I would just be happy if Chelsea was out of the picture, because my ultimate goal is, I want my old Adam back. Okay, you guys, I've been way pumped up about this week's show. I think that, what was it, Friday was the first episode that aired with the new writers. So from now on, from here on out, we should be seeing some pretty good changes with Y&R, and I think we're seeing some signals. I think we're seeing some just foreshadowing of the things that are going to come, and I'm really, really looking forward to next week's show. I can't wait to see what happens with the car wreck and the fallout from Phyllis getting off the hook one more time. I wonder if Chris will file a civil suit or what, but, and I mean the shares, I'm curious to know what's going on with Victor. Like, all the storylines are definitely moving along, and I want to know where they're going. I'm going to be along for the ride either way. But it's your turn now to leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think about this week's show. Use that comment box below this video and leave a comment, leave 2, 3, 4, 5. Just get it all out. Let me know what you guys are thinking. It's always a pleasure to read them and to chat with you guys about the show. Don't forget to like fan me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, because I have been trying to update those a little more often and talk about things on the show as I watch them. So if you use Facebook or Twitter, you should follow me. You can go to my blog. I'll put the link in the video description. It's yrchatblog.blogspot.com, and then on the right-hand side of the page, there's my Twitter and Facebook links. So if you want to like hook up with me there, that'd be awesome, and we could chat about the show throughout the week. But either way, I'm gonna be watching and loving and probably complaining and loving and just everything all mixed up in once right along with you guys for next week. And we'll chat again next Sunday about the show, okay? Alright, you guys. Mwah! Have a good one. Bye!